Hello, very warm welcome to you. You're watching a CNBC-TV18 special show. This is called Inside Bengaluru, where we get you the top-notch companies and startups that have done something different in Bengaluru. I have with me Mr. Ashok Soota and Shashi Kumar from Happiest Minds.
Hello.
Mr. Soota, you've been a veteran on CNBC-TV18.
Yeah, well, many years.
And you know, there's something new right now, but you've been on the channel talking about Happiest Minds, but it's different right now. You have a new CEO that you've appointed. So I want to ask you, coming to you first, and then I'll bring you in, Shashi. What is you've restructured the basic management. What is the plan right now in the next 1 year? Are you changing the way you're positioning Happiest Minds from an internal and an external point of view?
Okay. First, let me, Kritika, say nice to see you again, and also welcome you to what I call as a happiness enabling facility. I'm sure you haven't seen quite a nice environment like this anywhere in
I
the places.
haven't, very rarely.
And it's very much a part of the way we set out to create, in line with our name, we create a nice facility, it's a great environment. So it's really important, you know, when you said, hey, what are the changes? There's certain basics that I think we defined up front. Our mission statement, as you know, is the simplest as, it's happiest people, happiest customers. Our vision statement, again, has happiness evangelism as a very key part of what we seek out to be, and each one of us to be happiness evangelists for customers, for our people, for society. And our values lend themselves to this acronym SMILES, and incidentally, the building we're sitting in, each one of our buildings are called SMILES 1, SMILES 2, SMILES 3. Okay. You started talking about the changes and what that implies. Fundamentally, there's no change in structure. We were always organized in terms of 3 business units, which are digital transformation, infrastructure support and security, and product engineering. And then we have global practices, which are technology practices on our disruptive technologies. And of course, we also have industry groups. Now, what has evolved as we've gone through is that very clearly we see that we are a digital transformation enabling company. All of this reports then into Shashi as the person who integrates everything. And he's the CEO and MD. And increasingly, you know, my role as executive chairman, while we had this blank for a moment, obviously meant at that time there was more of an operational load. But today he runs the company through all of these things. Though other than that, I'd say no basic change, but I'm sure he's going to introduce change as he goes through. That's a part of his, I'm sure, bring in his own vision, his own impact into the company.
So Shashi, as Ashok said, tell me about your vision. It's early days, yes, but how, because we have several IT companies there. When Ashok started Happiest Minds, he had said that we are positioning Happiest Minds differently to the other IT companies in the ecosystem. From your point of view, going ahead, given that we are at a time when IT is something that clients need necessarily, but the clients are changing, there is a lot of chaos in terms of deal pipeline, there's budget cuts. How is Happiest Minds different to the other various IT players out there?
Thanks, Kritika, and welcome back to Happiest Minds. I think there is an incredible opportunity to look at changes in the customer environment, which the whole concept of digital transformation presents. You know, we are really focused on social, mobile, analytics, and the cloud technologies. And we strive to co-innovate with customers, and that's a very big part of our opportunity spectrum. You know, what we are 3.5 years into existence at this stage is we are about 100 customers plus. We are about little more than 1,500 people, and we are one of the fastest off the block to get to 50 million in terms of run rate, annualized run rate. So it's exciting times at this point in time, and our opportunity is very clear. It is to look at the changes in the customer environment, the disruptions in the customer environment, and bring the power of SMAC. SMAC, as the technology stack is known, into newer opportunities for the customer. That's our space.
You know, that's very important, and I'll go to that in just a bit. But next 1 or 2 odd years, you spoke about the current targets and the current data points. Next one here, in terms of employee, in terms of capacity addition, and in terms of client expansion or investment or capital expenditure. Are there numbers that you can give me that you have charted out?
I think I should be able to generate enough excitement without divulging numbers. But here is it, I mean, we are expanding our footprint globally. We are opening up new countries, opening up new offices for customer acquisition because of the significant traction that we have in the field. We are absolutely looking forward to expand into a new facility in Bengaluru, which is a part of our growth strategy. We are looking at our entire offering stack and looking at building more relevant offerings for our customers.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd just add one more thing to what Sashi just said, and that is that, one other differentiator for us is our focus on intellectual property development. We've set ourselves a goal of saying that in another 3 years' time, we should get 25% of our sales through our own IPs. Today we've reached 10%. It took us a year and a half to develop many of those IPs. And of course, there's a clear roadmap ahead.
The sense is that clients are now not completely moving away from traditional services, but gradually shifting and enhancing their digital spending over the next couple of years. How large is the order book, sir? I know, there are a lot of numbers floating around from Gartners, from IDCs, but how significant is the number? And is this across the board, across sectors where digital is becoming a necessity, or will this still take some time? Is this still baby steps?
It is not that the run mode of the operations are not significant. It is still significant, but you will see the shift is very clear. There is a high prioritization of using these technologies to acquire customers, to keep customers, to get into new geos, to drive new customer offerings from the enterprises. So that's a space that we clearly see the traction. And as a company, that's where we took a bet 4 years back that there is space here to build an IT services company. That focus has helped us to push our journey in that direction.
Okay, so quickly before we head into a break, Digital India, lots of talk, government is going big on it. In terms of hard numbers, in terms of actually getting contracts in for Indian IT companies, will it be significant or will this be spread out over a period of time?
Yeah, well, firstly, any initiative of this size, particularly when it's blessed straight away from the Prime Minister, and it's dedicated and indicated to be large, is very good news for the industry. It's going to generate new demand, lots of new areas which are being focused. NASSCOM has set up a very clear-cut group on the basis of which you can start focusing the effort, drawing up roadmaps and so on. Clearly, we're looking forward to it as a major opportunity. It's difficult to put in numbers, but let me say that it could help the India market to grow at least 30, 40, 50% more as compared to what it was. And for a company like us...
Over a period of time, sir? Or
yeah, well, obviously, it'll take a little time. First, you'll go through prototypes, projects, etc., and then you begin to have the large rollouts. And a couple of things that are happening on that front. We see that NASSCOM, for example, is creating an environment. Now, that's of great value to smaller companies. We don't have to make that investment. We can leverage on it. We see lots of areas, and I mentioned to you earlier the Internet of Things. Now, that's a very key component of the whole digital story. It's going to be able to help expand connectivity and into rural areas on one side. There's going to be smart cities on the other. There'll be projects of the type that we'd like to be able to leverage. For example, it could be smart traffic systems. Multiple things which will change and make higher productivity within the country and higher efficiency, better governance. So these are things in which we'd like to be able to focus on. There will be an industry-wise flavor. There may be certain things, for example, in renewable energy. There'll be new standards coming up, and we would certainly want to get onto those standards committee. We already are on one, and also as consortiums develop for the larger projects, to become members of those consortiums.
All right, so Shashi, before we again head into that break, how much does Mr. Soota micromanage now that you've come in? Is he always there, or has he now?
I think we are all absolutely motivated by the passion and commitment that he represents. So it's a huge motivator for us to work with him in this journey. So that's what I would say.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for.
Thank you, Kritika.
Thank you so
Very
much
nice
for
seeing you
talking to
again.
us. Great to have you with us. So that was Mr. Ashok Soota and Mr. Shashi Kumar talking to us exclusively. But stay right there. On the other side of break, we'll have other key members of the management of Happiest Minds. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Before the break, Mr. Ashok Soota spoke about the 3 key segments of Happiest Minds, and we're here to talk about just that. I have with me Salil Godika, the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer, Joseph Amrutraj, President and CEO of the Product Engineering Space, and Prasenjit Saha of the Infrastructure Development Services space, if I'm correct. Okay, so I've gotten all the roles correct then. So I'm going to talk about digital transformation first, because that seems to be what everyone's talking about. Tell me, Salil, going ahead, we spoke to Mr. Soota about how there is a lot of opportunity and so on and on. But how really are the clients spending in terms of sector demarcation? BFSI, manufacturing, typical high-tech is usually the areas which spend a lot. But can you give me a demarcation into what's actually coming on ground?
So, okay. Welcome, Kritika. So I'll be representing our digital transformation business. And you know, before I answer that question, just look at what it is. It is really changing the way people are working. It's changing the way enterprises are operating, and really how customers are getting value out of it. So if we look at it this way, what the critical thing in the pillars of this is really about reimagining customer experience. So if you're an enterprise, you're going to use this to drive your customer experience differently. So look at it from that sector. Which are the sectors that are interested in it? Obviously the retail, the banking parts of it, lots of manufacturing. So when you look at sectors, I would say wherever there is a touch point with lots of people, lots of associates inside, digital transformation is having an impact. The second element is wherever you're trying to drive lots of operational efficiency, really where you need to re-engineer a business to become more fluid. And that, if you look at it, you know, the technologies like cloud and all allow you to do that. So maybe there used to be a thought process that, hey, digital transformation is all for the new age companies. Not necessarily. We are actually going in and getting calls from solid old enterprises, which they are saying, okay, can you come in, relook at how do I interact with my customers, and relook what I do in terms of business transformation.
Okay. What's the average deal size then in a typical digital deal?
So it's a very, very interesting thing. Many times, when we started 3 years back, initially it would be very, very small deals, like 100K deals, where people say, okay, come in and prove it. Now, that has changed. People are saying, okay, right away I'm ready to, you know, launch the whole digital journey with you, multi-million-dollar deals. So really it depends on where you are, which cycle, but it has seen a sudden uptick from very small to, you know, sizable deals.
Okay, Joseph, product engineering is an area which we were discussing this earlier as well. We haven't seen many large capital companies enter. So A, does that give you an edge? And B, where does product engineering come in at a time when clients are looking at completely changing their entire ecosystem? How does that give you an edge?
Sure. So, Kritika, if you look at the Indian IT ecosystem, most of the players, you know, those that have some product engineering services business unit, tend to mix up what they do in the IT service and product engineering services. And what we've seen based on our experience, that customers want that core rigor of product engineering. And so at Happiest Minds, we've built a team that's very focused on product engineering, both on the software and hardware side. We try to cover the whole stack because we see that customers demand that expertise, right? And in terms of areas that we're looking at, we look at ourselves more of digital, you know, transformation enablers. We're building the products that enable digital transformation, and we've decided to focus on just 4 areas. The first area is around consumer platforms, and this is around more of your loyalty management, e-commerce. Second is around, you know, more of your SaaS-based solutions. So it's the enterprise platforms, whether it's your vertical or your horizontal platforms, all SaaS applications on the cloud that an enterprise would use to transform its backend. The third is around, you know, more of data center. You see a lot of software-defined networking, software getting into the data center, and that's what we're doing. And the last is around IoT, which is a very big component of the whole digital transformation thing. So we're helping customers both on the software and on the hardware side, what we call IoTify their products or their platforms, and that's what we're helping them out with.
Okay, fair enough. Coming to you, Prasenjit, then infrastructure services is something that, you know, it brings in the largest capital in terms of heavy numbers. How have clients reduced their spending on infrastructure services, given that, you know, we are seeing newer technologies come in? Have infra services as a segment gradually become more challenging from a client point of view?
See, if you look at digital transformation, one of the...
That comes into infra as well.
One of the baseline for that is, you know, infrastructure transformation.
True.
So if you look at what we are looking at from our customer perspective, that if they have a legacy infrastructure, they have to actually get into an agile infrastructure. which typically equates to cloud computing services. And related automation and autonomics into that, which actually gives a lot of self-healing and self-diagnostic kind of capability. So that is one part where we are focusing on, and we are seeing a lot of good demand. Similarly, what we are seeing on digital transformation is like as you go digital, where the data actually goes beyond the boundary of an enterprise. Cyber security, risk and data governance is actually a big area of focus. And that is where we are also seeing across different customer segments, be it BFSI, retail, manufacturing, education, etc. There is a huge demand to set right those gaps before you can scale to a large-scale digital transformation, where data will definitely fly out of boundary.
Will fly out of.
So that is the two area where we are seeing a good amount of traction from both infrastructure as well as security services part.
Has there been an uptick in terms of increase in spending coming in, on increase of requirement for infrastructure services coming in that case in the last 6 months, given that the ecosystem is changing?
Yes, so if you look at from pure play vanilla outsourcing perspective, that which used to be a infrastructure outsourcing deal for 3 years or 5 years. So that situation is changing and the size is shrinking.
So the pure play has gone down and the newer has gone up, which is what you focus on.
Yeah. So we are not focusing on very traditional infra management, server storage network and all this other stuff. It is primarily on transformation driven, automation driven operational support, as well as transformation associated with that.
Okay, one quick question to Joseph. Whoever could give me an outline, where and how do all these three key areas, Mr. Soota spoke about how these three key areas are what define Mindtree's overall business proposition. Where do you sync all these while you're going to, or offering a different value proposition to clients?
Yeah. So the way we look at it is, the product engineering service business unit works with the companies that are coming up with cutting-edge technologies around digital transformation. So we build those products and the expertise on those products. And then the digital transformation business unit sort of imbibes that and takes that to market. They work with enterprises, helps them complete the digital transformation. And then the infrastructure management business unit comes in, helps keep the lights on, keep it running, and support it. So the whole thing sort of plays out the entire ecosystem.
And Salil, you kind of have to be there at a strategy level to kind of oversee and delve into. Do you end up delving into all these sectors in that case?
Yes, yes. And I think this was a very thought-through thing, right? We could say, why are you into all these three things? Because as Joseph said, if we are not with the new age technology and ISVs and software company, we can't sit in a conference room and figure out how to use these new technologies. So that's where we are getting all that thing. And from a digital transformation business perspective, we are working a lot more with the business guys. So let's say not just CIO, but the CMO or head of supply chain and all that. And almost we are
creating a link between them.
And there is new kinds of titles coming in our customers base, where they are saying, okay, it's a combination of, let's say, a chief digital officer. He or she has to be a technologist. They also have to understand marketing. They have to understand their customers. And infrastructure, actually, as Prasenjit said, the agile infrastructure is the key. If you don't have that infrastructure, all these stories will just remain that on paper, because you won't be able to productionize it.
All right, gentlemen. So many discussion points there, but unfortunately, we're completely running out of time. Joseph, Salil, Prasenjit, thank you so much for joining in. So that was the key management team of Mr. Ashok Soota and Happiest Minds to tell us about the road ahead for the key sectors and key business offerings by Happiest Minds. Thank you so much for watching this special show.